My thing, Sebastian, though, is like I'm not asking anyone to negotiate in public, and I do understand the impulse not to be reactionary, right, and not to further inflame things. But like we just had a campaign based almost solely on this issue, and we have no idea if anything is happening behind it. Like I'm telling you, to the point where a reporter asked the Prime Minister, "Have you spoken to Trump today?" He said yes, and then a series of follow-up questions ensued, like very complex ones, like when. Before or after the UN, and like we couldn't even get an answer in response to that.
Well, Vashi, I mean, first of all, I just want to point out it was Prime Minister Carney that set out his own deadline for a deal with President Trump, which has come and gone, and seemingly nothing has occurred with it. So he has actually, when convenient for him, tried to bring this into the public fore. To that point, I think, I'm glad there were journalists who were yelling questions and asking the Prime Minister for a change to give us some updates. He did some days ago, I think, also deliver a perplexing response about who he met with in the UK, where he almost seemed bothered to be asked what it is that he is actually doing on these trips that he's taking around the world. Yeah, I mean, look, we may not know what is happening in those behind-the-scenes conversations. What we do know is what is happening in our own country and in the domestic space that Prime Minister Carney does have control over. And if that is any indication of how our international politics are being conducted, then I'm very, very afraid for our economic future. It is incumbent on Prime Minister Carney to set the right conditions in our country for that business investment that we just talked about in the previous segment, that Premier Smith just spoke to you about. And that is absolutely not happening. There are so many things that we can do internally in our own country to prepare ourselves for whatever may come with President Trump or with any other country we set to trade with. And none of that is happening.